What up, Nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake KBO DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community design to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out at WiseTake.com for more content, more coverage, including projections, cheat sheets, an article that I write, DFS breakdown. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, hit notifications bell. Everything we do on this channel is free. We do free streams for all kinds of DFS sports, NASCAR, PGA, KBO. May do some for League of Legends if we have some slow days with KBO or whatever, but haven't gotten there just yet. But if you came and you found us, you found the right place with some free fire DFS content. I appreciate those of you that were waiting. I know a lot of you, I kept y'all waiting. I apologize. Had to make some dinner for the missus. You know, happy wife, happy life, as they say. Made some Mexican street corn, man. That's not a racist thing. That's just what it's called. Mexican street corn. It's delicious. Look it up. Try it. It's pretty easy. And I made some dope-ass chicken salad, but instead of using canned chicken salad, I used rotisserie chicken. I'm not like a cook. I have not been, but I've just recently, since the quarantine, I've kind of gotten into it, grilling and all that with all the extra time we had. So, you know, keeping it up, man. Just keeping the family fed, you know, making all kinds of goodness. But anyway, we've got some baseball to discuss. Finally, you know, we have a day off of KBO. It's kind of whack. I had a pretty good weekend, actually. So after a week of KBO that didn't go my way, and like, listen, it happens sometimes, like, especially as a tournament player, which a lot of you guys know the hard way. But when you're playing tournaments, you're taking some risks, and you're going to lose. You're playing in contests where only the top 20% or so even get paid. So, but over the weekend we did good. I won 1,000 in League of Legends, and the next day won another 1,000 in KBO. So it was a bam bam. It was like a bang bang kind of situation. And then, I think it was Sunday, the last slate we had. So I just played 50 teams in the regular donkey, right? And I finished 7th and 11th. Because you guys, if those of you who read the article, you know my number one stack was Samsung. 7th and 11th. However, the only pitcher that did good besides Yang was Tae-In-Wan. And I hate that guy. I'm developing a strong, like, I shouldn't say hate. That's a strong word. I don't hate him. I don't wish anything poorly on his life. But me and him are beefing. We got some kind of beef going. Some disrespect type shit. We see in his numbers he's continuing to get lucky, but it keeps happening. So at some point, maybe he's just one of those pitchers that's going to ride that luck all year. I don't know. But I had a 4 from my pitcher, a 4 from one, and I think like a 2 from the other in those two teams. This is the 7th place and 11th place. We're talking a difference. 7th place was $250. First place was $10,000. I missed first place by 12 points. And I had a 4 from my fucking pitcher. Isn't that about a bitch? And it's not like I'm not even upset about the pitcher. Okay, Casey Kelly didn't have to do great because all the other pitchers sucked except one, and it was that asshole, Tae-In-Wan, who's got almost a 2-run differential on his ERA to his FI. One day he's gonna get smacked, man. One day he will get snapped. Anyway, that was that. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. Miss streaming. I know, you know, it's KBO, so obviously when we have NBA and the regular sports back, you know, we do our best to do streams as often as we can. With KBO, the schedule is different, so you kind of got to work it in. You know, you got to do what you do. A shout out to those of you in the chat. I appreciate you guys always participating and hanging out with me, talking to me. Helps make the show go when I have some people to interact with, so I appreciate you guys. And you guys have kept the chat bumping, man. The YouTube chat was bumping. I came up here and there was conversation. Lots of conversation. Anthony Valencia says, Kelly is a bitch. He's my kryptonite. Yeah, man, like, I know what you mean, man. Run the Basis says, I hate him too, waiting on the regression. I know, and that's my problem, is when I find stuff in the stats that I know people aren't going to buy into. Like, people see that ERA that's going to keep playing them, and I know it's coming. Sometimes I go a little too heavy on that theory. And yeah, there may be regression, but over the course of the season, it doesn't mean that, there's a differential, so tomorrow he's going to get popped. I use that, what that's supposed to be is like, is this guy genuinely good or not? And just because he's been unlucky doesn't mean he's a terrible pitcher. It just means that he maybe shouldn't be as good as his numbers indicate, or maybe his results have indicated. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, there's a couple out there. GQ says Jang, the Kia guy, did good that morning too. Yes, he did, and that was fine. He was in those teams, of course. Otherwise, there's no way I was making it to the top with both pitchers getting me 4s, suckers. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the slate. I don't want to keep y'all. I was already late. I apologize. You know, it's not just to be clear. I come from a military family. My father was in the army for my whole life, basically. He retired from the military when I was in my 20s. So I've moved around, you know, and I respect the military lifestyle, all that kind of stuff. So one thing I don't like is being late. I really don't. So I know that with the KBO I've been, it's because the schedule was weird, like for NBA and all that stuff. If we're late, you best believe it's because of Paulie or it's because of whoever else is on the show with me. That's the reason we're late. We're very, very rarely late because of me. But with the KBO shit, it's all on me, guys. And it's just because of the timing, man. I'm trying to do the shows a little later in the evening to, one, give me time to dig in and do some research because some of the data comes out a little bit later in the day. Because we're working with, a 12, 13-hour time difference. And, you know, so I appreciate you guys just, bearing with me, hanging out. I do what I can on the free stuff. But just know that we always deliver the content on WiseTake.com. If you're a WiseTake Nation subscriber at WiseTake.com, we always deliver the content there. No questions asked 7 days a week. Or 6 days in the KBO because they only do it 6 days. But so just because we don't do a stream doesn't mean I always do content regardless for those subscribed to WiseTake.com. Anyway, a little bit of that. And let's get into this. So I think the first game on the screen, I like to start with the My KBO stats thing just to have some consistency. And it looks like the KT Wiz is the first game we're going to start with. Some KT Wiz action. We got Sook Kim and Ricardo Pinto. 4.5 is the projected runs for each side. Obviously, offensively, the KT Wiz is significantly better offense than SK. You can see SK, this is a projected lineup, and again, to reiterate, anyone who is new, these lineups are the projected lineups, as are when after the show is over and I post the projections for you guys to download and everything else. We're working with projected lineups until the lineups come out. The lineups don't come out until about an hour before the game. So I wake up, that's right, at 4:30 every morning or an hour before wherever lock is. Sometimes multiple times because the games don't always start at the same time. And I update the lineups to make sure that those who are using the projections or using the cheat sheets have updated players and aren't seeing projections for or rankings for players that aren't actually playing. So the article, I don't update that. That's more for me to just kind of highlight what I plan on doing. But as far as the individual players, as far as pitcher stacks, the individual players, however, and the projections and the cheat sheets, those are important. We do update those, but those are, again, not until the lineups actually come out, which is an hour before lock or so. Sometimes even half an hour before lock. You got to get moving, be quick. But I do post from the WiseTake Twitter at @wise_take when the lineups are confirmed. So anyone who's using the content knows when they can go up in there and do thy dirty to thy neighbor. With that said, this projected lineup for SK is showing a 313 WOBA and a 119 ISO. Only a 15% K rate. We are missing Hyung Ryan Lee, it looks like, from 2020. Baseball Reference hasn't updated that yet, I guess. But, so, maybe this lineup isn't particularly strikeout heavy, but we know they suck, right? Like, Romack is supposed to be good. And his numbers aren't horrible. I say it like that. He's got a 421 WOBA and a 245 ISO. But his home run percentage is down a little bit. Jiyoung Choi is really the one that's been slacking, and his numbers aren't awful either. The issue is he's really the only guy doing any good. Jihoon Choi, the young guy, 409 WOBA is pretty good, but not really a ton of power. Not really any power. And you can see the rest of the guys just suck. So that's the main difference. If we look at the KT Wiz, you see a 184 ISO, 386 WOBA because their guy Kang is back. They're significantly better offense with Kang there because now you got Rojas and Kang, two big power hitters who like to hit dingers and dongs long ways. Let's look into the pitching aspect of this. Sook Kim for the KT Wiz is terrible. He's just fucking terrible. But it looks like he's been really unlucky also. It was hard to really justify giving him any respectable projection just because of how bad he has been. I guess we could revisit that. But I really didn't. I don't know. Look at it, 4.8 FIP. Even though he's okay, maybe the 998's a little unlucky, but the 4.8's still not good. 17% K rate, not quite cutting it on this slate. He's not walking as many dudes as you would think, but the home run rate is massive. Now, I believe this game is in the SK's park, which is definitely a pitcher-friendly park. So maybe we can't just like disregard him, even though I want to. We have some decent pitchers. It's not like a ton, and there's one cheap guy that I think is going to feel a lot of the ownership. For the people who don't go with Brooks or the spend ups, Jokic, Brooks, or NC. But when you have guys like those on a slate, you're going to see these other guys all be kind of lower owned, except for one guy who we'll get to. And you could probably point him out by looking at the numbers on this thing. You could probably find a guy quick. But yeah, he's just not that good. But the matchup is pretty good. He's coming off a game where he did well. He played Kia. Now here's the other aspect is. That was the most pitches he had ever thrown. He threw 85 pitches in that game against Kia. That's the most he's ever thrown because normally he's a bullpen guy. 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks through 5 innings, and he put up a 17 because of it. His team won 13-8. To give you some whatever. So I'll probably raise his projection a little bit just because 3.78 is basically based off of him not pitching the innings. And it looks like as long as he's not awful, they'll let him go around 85 to 90 pitches. Maybe you would think maybe even more after he just threw 85. So that's certainly a possibility. Certainly a possibility. But I'll adjust that after the show. Next up, we've got the SK pitcher, which is Ricardo Pinto. I'm not a fan. He's not a terrible pitcher in terms of real baseball. A 3.86 FIP is not terrible. If you look at what he did last year, he wasn't awful. 4.27 is not good by any stretch. Nor his whip was crazy high, but if the home runs are down, strikeouts are low, it is what it is. He's just mediocre. Not a guy that I love to attack, but not a guy that I like to pitch at all. I would rather attack him than pitch him most days. But so it's just a really unexciting game. I think you could add him to the pool if you want to, but I'm just pretty much not. I think I'm mainly looking to take guys like Kang, Rojas, maybe some mini stack action and kind of just move it right along because again, this is a pitcher friendly park and these are two pitchers where like SK has the better matchup, but SK really sucks and it's just never fun to stack them. KT Wiz's bullpen is awful. So if you do want to stack SK, this could be the spot because obviously Sook Kim's not good. And like we said, that KT Wiz bullpen is just really garbage. So, I mean, to be honest, right now, I guess because of how bad Sook Kim is, and again, these projections are not final. I'm going to tweak them after the show just to adjust some things with weights and all that. These are just the straight up stats, like what the numbers are. And a couple guys for SK project well. Ying Yu Jiang, which is probably because they're on an accelerator, because a multiplier, because Sook Kim's numbers are fucking awful. But Jamie Romack, Choi. Jin-Hoo Choi, it's not the worst idea. It's not like, again, it's not super exciting to do something like that, but I guess you'll have to see when we go through all these teams and see what offenses, you can dig and what offenses you're like, fuck that, You make those decisions. We are going to move it right along, though. We've got the LG Twins. Did you guys guess who that pitcher was, the cheap one? LG Twins and Hanwha Eagles. Chan Hyun Jung going up against Min Jae Jang. LG is big favorites here at minus 221. LG projected for 5.5 runs. Hanwha 3.5. Or that's not necessarily a projection. It's just the over/under, if you will. So we know with LG they're missing their best hitter Roberto Ramos. That's a big blow to their lineup. Their lineup looks a lot more mediocre without him in there. Look at the significant drop in ISO. LG, for those of you who've been watching it most streams, you know that LG normally has like a pretty healthy ISO and a pretty healthy WOBA. And without Ramos, it takes a dive, man. You do have a lot of shitty guys like Young Taek Park and, Kun Woo Jung, whose just numbers are just fucking pathetic. Ban Hyuk Koo. So it's definitely a blow. And we know Hanwha they finally got a win or two, I think, right? They beat Doosan or some shit. Good for them. Happy for them. But they're still terrible. 284 WOBA, 0.086 ISO at this point with this projected lineup. They are missing stats from Taehyung No, so we will see. But the biggest thing is they strike out. We are missing a couple, but they strike out. Hanwha strikes out more than most, we'll say. LG, however, despite having the shitty WOBA and ISO, don't strike out a ton. Interesting, right? So obviously we'll get into the pitching, and we're gonna start with Hanwha's pitcher, and he's been bad also, right? 418 FIP is not awful. He's been a little unlucky. It looks like ERA is massive. but he doesn't strike people out. Doesn't really walk people. That's a pretty high strikeout to walk ratio for a guy that only strikes out 13.5%. And he gives up home runs. Again, this is more of a pitcher-friendly park, I think. Oh, no, Hanwha's home. So this is I think, we saw what the Dinos put up massive runs. This could be an interesting spot for LG. I'm wondering, like maybe Doosan's popular in NC again. So like I'm looking for these ancillary teams. I'll say this: Hanwha's bullpen has been fucking terrible, and part of it is not their. Part of it is they're just worked. They had a day off, I know, but part of it is they're just worked. But keep that in mind when we're thinking about LG. The problem is which players. That's like not fun. You got like Sook Kim and all that shit is great, but the players suck. But Zhang, one of the worst numbers on the slate, no doubt. LG, we've got Chan Hyung Jung. This is the cheap guy that I'm assuming is going to be popular, mixed in with some of those other guys. Don't mind his projection at 11. That's probably too low. I mean, even with it at 6.5, look what he's averaged in 20. And this, a lot of this is because of his last game. He beasted in his last game. His last game, I'll read you the game log. Let me read you the stats. Was against Samsung, right? 3 hits. He went 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. He played Hanwha the start before that. 6 innings. He only went 76 pitches in this one. 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Went for 19. So he went for 19.9 and then 38.75 on DraftKings. And he's playing Hanwha again. So I expect him to be popular. Hard to argue. 3.4 FIP for a guy that's 6'5" is pretty fucking good. 27% K rate. That might be a little bit of an aberration, but maybe it's somewhere around 20. It's not really walking guys. That's huge. Strikeout to walk ratio is good. The home runs are really the only issue. And he's playing a team that really doesn't hit too many of them. So, yeah, he's back in a situation against a bad team. At 6,500, it's hard to argue against, at least as an SP2. And on FanDuel, you'll get him real low because everybody is going to pick one of Rusinski, Jokish, Brooks. They'll pick one of those guys. So you have an opportunity to get him real low. But I do like him quite a bit for a pitching option. And like I said, I think LG is an interesting lower-owned-ish stack to roll with. Hanwha's bullpen's been terrible. I know these numbers suck. They suck bad. You can see LG's actually popping a couple of these guys. Chung-Woo Lee, Young Taek Park, Ian Sung Chae are on a multiplier because of how bad Min Jae Jang has been. Holla. And the bullpen's bad. So LG, another like off-kilter type stack that I think we can get down with. Next up, we've got the lot of Giants and the Kiwoom Heroes. Giants are big underdogs. We got Jokish on the mound, who is one of the better players. I got to make an update. I spelt the name wrong for Byung-ho Park, at least according to how DraftKings likes it. I'm going to update this shit right quick. It's very simple. This is how they I don't know why, but it's just, see the space? Space be gone in a second. Space be gone. Bam. Stats pop in. Okay, so Jokish was supposed to be one of the top pitchers in the league. A lot of the top pitchers, quote unquote, have struggled lately. But all in all, looking at the numbers still look pretty healthy. We'll analyze his advanced metrics or whatever we have to work with. As far as the offenses, Kiwoom's offense probably better than they have been. They're supposed to be a lot better than this, I think. A 154 ISO, 360. They're like kind of average based off these. An average good team based off these numbers, but it's supposed to be better. I consider them a good offense. This game's in a dome, by the way. Kiwoom, the only team that plays in a dome. Wait, is Kiwoom home? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kyung-un No on the other side here for the lot of Giants. Nothing terribly exciting. He's got a 13.99% strikeout rate. Glorious. And if you look at a lot of Giants offense, they've been hot. They have been hot. I'm going to be completely real. They've been hot lately. They've been putting up runs. However, they're expected to finish near the bottom of the league overall, including offense. And their Team WOBA and Team ISO are still pretty pathetic. A 113 ISO, 295 WOBA, 19% K rate. This looks like a really good spot for Jokish. Let's get into the pitching stuff. So we'll start with Jokish, who projects really well for us. And you can see he's been, according to his ERA, he's been a little lucky. The FIP, 2.34. The strikeouts have dropped a little bit from where they were earlier in the season, and that's kind of hurt him, but he's still not walking people. He's still not really giving up home runs. Still looks like one of the top plays on the slate. Definitely a cash game play. on both sites, I think. Of Ruzinski, Jokic, and Brooks, Jokic has by far the softest matchup on paper, at least. So I'm all for it. I'm willing to go back, paying up. He's been screwing me, but it is what it is. It ain't what it ain't. And not walking dudes, and I'm big on that. Big style. Yeah. As far as Kyung Un No, this guy's also not that good. Maybe he's not as bad as he's looked, but a 4.19 FIP. It doesn't strike people out like we said. 2.5 strikeout to walk ratio isn't bad for a guy that only striking out hitters 14% of the time as far as like walks. So he throws a lot of strikes, which is like, I look at it like, if you're a shitty pitcher and that number's high, then that's great for me because that means you don't walk dudes, so you're going to throw strikes. And you suck at throwing strikes, in theory. So I want to attack you. 2.8% home run rate is, may not look high, but last year, that's well above the league average from last year. So yeah, I'm cool with Kiwoom, man. I'm willing to go back to them. I think they'll be owned, but I do think that Doosan and the Dinos will still be some of the more popular teams. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe people will take shots on these guys because I think, what is it? The Dinos are playing Aaron Brooks. I don't know. I'm assuming Doosan is going to be popular, and you'll see why when we get to who they're playing against. But yeah, I like the Kiwoom offense. Ha-Seong Kim, Byung-Ho Park, Dongwon Park. He's been a little more cool, but you can see he's having a phenomenal year compared to what he did last year. So yeah, Ha-Seong Kim is just hitting dingers, hitting like grand slams and shit. He's just doing it, and he's doing it well. Next up, we've got the NC Dinos and the Kia Tigers. So Dinos minus 155. They're projected for 4.5 runs. This is a very low scoring game for these kind of players, and it makes sense, right? It makes sense. You got two really good pitchers. Kia's offense, man, they're popping off the charts. Oh, you know why? This whole Ryan Kim guy has been awesome, man. He's been good. You can see the numbers. His numbers kind of jack up the sample. Plus, I have to fix the name of Guy Seong Kim at some point. So you see that his 423 ISO is definitely elevating. But they still got Preston Tucker, Hyungwoo Choi, Ji-Won Na, Sung Tae Khan. They got some pop, man. There's some ISO pop here in 2020. 210 ISO, I mean, that rivals the Dinos. It's funny that you got two of the teams with the best numbers you'll see as far as collective WOBAs and ISOs playing each other with the total so low. And Kia's Park is not the Dinos. Dinos is the best hitting park in the game, but Kia's Park I don't believe is grading out as necessarily bad either. Ruzinski has the benefit of the strikeout matchup. Kia strikes out more at about 18%. The Dinos were striking out a lot earlier in the season, but they've kind of slowed that down a little bit and averaging about 15%. Two really good offenses are the best numbers you'll see. Look at the Dinos, 406 WOBA, 216 ISO. If we go to the actual pitching sheet, Ruzinski's been awesome, man, super consistent. He's been a little lucky, but still solid FIP. K rates have been solid. Strikeout to walk ratio is solid. Everything looks solid. I think in cash, a lot of people will go Ruzinski and Jokic and just kind of make it work because there's a lot of pricing inefficiencies. Some will pick one of Ruzinski and Jokic and roll the dice with Chan Hyung Jung, which I think that's probably what I would do rather than picking on these matchups. I'd probably go Jokic and Chan Hyung Jung. I like that combination in tournaments as well, but holla for $1. Kia. Aaron Brooks, a tough matchup here against the Diggity Dinos, but he's got better numbers almost than both those guys. Well, not better numbers than Jokic, but close. 2.67 FIP. You know he's gonna be lower owned because he's playing the Dinos. So it's kind of interesting. At the same time, he's playing the fucking Dinos. Do you really want to sit there and attack the Dinos? I'm not thrilled about it. But the numbers are all solid for him. Strikeout rate's there. Strikeout to walk ratio's there. Not giving up a ton of home runs. FIP is really healthy. It's a good situation, minus the opponent. So I'm curious as to where people will go. Will people be more likely to take Aaron Brooks or the Dinos, or we get both teams kind of lower owned? I would assume that people are going to play the Dinos anyway because they just love to play the Dinos, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Moving right along. The last game, we got the Samsung Lions and the Doosan Bears. Jung Hayak Baek in Park. I think it's pronounced like Park because I've seen it spelled as Park. It's amazing how some of these names are spelled completely different at times. It's incredible. Jung Hayak Baek and Raul Alcantara. This will be fun. Not really. So we know that Doosan's offense, if you look at this projected lineup for Doosan, and they have some injuries. They're missing, like, what's his name? Something Heo or Her. I've seen that spelled. It's spelled Heo, and I've seen it also spelled Hur. The same person. Why, I don't know. But they are missing him. Some of these guys like Minsia, Quan Cheng, they got some fillers, and it's really affected the numbers that we see. 323 WOBA and a 119 ISO. The numbers have fallen. They have not been as good as they were to start the season when they were like crazy, doing dirties every single day. On top of that, their park has been the best pitching park in the game, and they also themselves have not been the same, have not performed well when they were at home. So you got that going for you. Meanwhile, for Samsung's numbers lately, they've been kind of hot. Their numbers have been better than Doosan's. Raul Alcantara, you can see going up for Doosan. But Samsung's got 163 ISO, 328 WOBA. So the WOBA still indicates they're not that great. But they're beating Doosan right now in WOBA for these lineups anyway, and ISO, which is kind of crazy. One thing about Doosan, though, they don't strike out. So expect some balls put in play. But with that said, Jaewoo Koo, this dude is a beast. Don't worry about the one home run. He's pretty good. Tyler Saladino's woken up. He's been hot. Won Seok Lee is out there hitting dingers on a regular. Hak Julie is not like a huge power guy. So my point being, they're stackable night in, night out. Great bullpen they're gonna see after Alcantara, but Alcantara has been decent. We'll talk about him. And also the park, very pitcher friendly, whereas Samsung's home park very hitter friendly. Holla for $1. Need that money for tomorrow. Let's look at the pitching. Alcantara projects well for us. It's hard to argue. He's been good this year, and he's got Samsung 3.84. It's pretty solid. The strikeout rate's pretty solid. Strikeout to walk ratio is not as high as it could be. He does give up some home runs, but he's at home. I do think he's an option. I think it'd be lower on. I don't love it. I just don't really want to pick on Samsung a ton. But again, the part really is that we have other arms, right? But again, like I think if Jung and Jokic and Ruzinski are gonna be popular, maybe he provides us with. We got to take notes of some of the pivots, and I think he's one of them. I think Aaron Brooks is one of them, even though Brooks is a tougher matchup. Alcantara has a better park and a better matchup for sure. No doubt. Jung Hyun Baek, one of the worst pitchers on the slate, at least this year. We could look at what he did last year, and he was pretty bad. It wasn't this bad last year, but he was pretty bad. 4.65 FIP, 12% K rate, 2.5% home run percentage. This year, it's been real bad. 6 FIP, 17% K rate, not walking dudes. A 4 strikeout to walk ratio at 17% solid. It means he's not walking guys. He's just throwing it right down the fucking middle. And a whopping 6.38% home run percentage, which is why for these preliminary projections, and I say preliminary because, again, after this show, before I post everything, I will be going through and making some adjustments. But preliminarily, if you notice, even though these guys, well, actually, Doosan's prices have dropped. But there's a lot of guys that project well over here, and it's because they're on a multiplier. Because Jung Hayak Baek is supposed to be terrible. I have no interest in pitching him. The question is, do we stack Doosan? I think Doosan will be popular, and I'm okay with him. But I think I'm gonna try to go a little underweight. I think I'm just gonna take a stance and not play them as heavy when they're at home. I think that's the route that I want to try. Because their park, it's not just them. Other teams ain't scoring either. And Doosan's got one of the worst bullpens in the game. So that should tell you something. But we are seeing a difference when they're on the road and when they're at home in the size of their games. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. It's an interesting slate. There's not like a clear offense to me. I think Doosan will be the clear chalk. But there's not like a clear offense to me that I'm head over heels for. I do think LG is kind of sneaky, kind of growing on me for the simple fact that Min Jae Jang is terrible and the simple fact that Hanwha's bullpen has been awful. However, and their park's been a little more hitter-friendly as far as we've seen, right? But the problem is with LG is, they just don't look good on paper, right? 115 ISO, 308 WOBA, but we're also working with some small samples for some of these guys. And maybe these other guys do step up. Sook Kim, got to step it the fuck up, man. You're a former major leaguer. Do dirties. Ian Sung Che, you've been terrible, bro. But again, you play a pitcher that's shitty, and you may strike some gold. The other route is to go completely off the board and just attack some of the chalk pitchers. But you're looking at teams like Hanwha. The Kia Tigers actually aren't terrible, only because we looked, and their numbers are really impressive right now. But I think that LG, the KT Wiz, are a couple of the teams, maybe even the Dinos, just because of how good they are, and I'm curious on ownership. I don't think the Dinos would be crazy popular. I know I said to start the show, but I forgot they were playing. What's his name? But you know how it goes. But anyway, Nation, that's pretty much it, man. That's it. It's a wild one. I'll be waking up at 4:30 to do the lineups. I have an article to write after this show, the projections and cheat sheets that we post on. Oh, also the stack rankings tool, chart, whatever you want to call it. They'll all be up shortly. Give me some time to edit the projections, make sure everything's lining up right, and then they'll post those, and then I'll write the article. I'll post that. And then, it's up to y'all. If you're capable of waking up to check the cheat sheet and projections to make sure you're not playing guys who are not in, it's a benefit to you. Take advantage. If you can't, because you got shit you got to do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. I do see a question here from RJ Visual that says, best pitcher for FanDuel. So obviously the pitchers are the same. I think that I would probably go with a spend up of Jokic, Ruzinski, as the two spend ups, so the chalk, and then over there on FanDuel, I do think that LG pitcher is going to be lower owned because you only need one pitcher, and I think he's a little bit more unproven, whereas Jokic and Ruzinski and these guys are more established. People have been comfortable playing them and shit. You know what I mean? Travis Duarte says Kia pitcher. Oh, yeah. That's a low-owned option. Aaron Brooks, definitely. You take a shot on him. Very low ownership. And on FanDuel, it's a little more enticing to do shit like that because you get the quality start bonus. So even if he doesn't get the strikeouts, you want him to get strikeouts. But say he normally gets like 5 or 6 through 6 innings, and this time he only gets like 3. If you're able to get that quality start bonus, that could negate some of the stuff if the price is right. But again, I know you guys only see the DraftKings projections and prices on here. We do all for FanDuel as well. I just have to make some edits to make sure they're right. So you can technically see these preliminary ones on the site. If you go to the actual KBO homepage and you look on the left KBO menu, you'll see the projections and all that. You can access them there, but of course they're not finalized until I make the post. So when you see the post, that's when you know the dirty is ready to be done. So with that said, Nation, it was good hanging out with y'all once again, and I'll be back at it tomorrow. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. The likes go a long way, really help us out, allow us to continue to do the dirty, and help y'all do the dirty as well. If you're a member of WiseTake Nation, I appreciate you. You helped me out immensely, and I'm looking forward to us making some money together. If you are not, and just hanging out with us on the show, I appreciate you too. Appreciate you taking the time to rock it with us and check out our content and really hang out with us, man. Because it's what it's all about. A premium DFS content provider, but really, it's a DFS community. That's really what it's all about. So I appreciate you guys. I'm getting out of here. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.